Welcome to Flashback, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. We'll begin on Monday, where the National Emergency Management Agency confirmed the rescue of 9 persons from a sinking building at Akinwumi Street, Maryland and Lagos. The State Territorial Coordinator of NEMA, Ibrahim Farinloye, explained that the owner of the building was handed over to the police for failure to contact emergency responders when the incident happened. Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, the State Fire Service and Police Disaster Management Unit were said to have been on ground to help rescue the situation. And on that same day, the landlord of the building that was alleged to have sunk reacted, describing the report as fake news. He also claimed there were no casualties, as reported.
This is the building that was alleged to have sunk earlier today in Lagos. But a visit by TVC News crew to the area showed otherwise. Few hours after the report of the sunk building and rescue of 9 persons broke, the owner of the building has a different story to tell.
So what we have is a backlash from the canal moving into the street. As you can see, you are here live. There's no building sinking, no collapse and all that.
Though there were no residents in sight, an eyewitness says while the building is bent.
Surprised, we neighbors, we are surprised because we have been here for almost 14 years now. And that building bent, though it bent, and they have been like that for 14 years.
With the trend of floods, many fear that the rain may cause more damage to buildings in the area. At the moment, flood has taken over roads in the area, but residents say it is due to the blockage of drainage. Now they are calling for urgent attention from the government to avoid further losses.
Also on Monday, workers in the aviation sector staged a protest threatening to commence a nationwide strike if authorities fail to meet their demands. The workers want the federal government to remove what they call unfriendly anti-labor clauses in the proposed laws of agencies in the industry.
The government is seeking to amend and/or enact laws to further regulate the aviation sector through its agencies. While the workers yearn for laws that impact the sector and their lives, they accuse the authorities of plans to take away their right to unionism. Among the clauses in contention is the one seeking to grant power to the Minister of Aviation to regulate not only the sector, but the activities of the workers. Government, by the clause, seeks to classify the sector as an essential service provider, hence the need to ban strikes and protests. This is why the workers have gathered on the first working day of the week at the Nnamdi Kanu International Airport in Abuja. They say government's action violates the provisions of the Trade Dispute Act and other labor laws, including that of the International Labour Organization.
Comrades, this strength given to us by our forefathers is what the present administration wants to take out from us.
From the General Aviation Terminal through the international airports and to the toll gate, the workers defied security presence to pass across their message.
They went behind and slot in such clauses that take away our rights and our voices.
We will not be allowed to carry out strikes. We will not be allowed to carry out picketing. We will not be allowed to carry out lockout.
They have written separate letters to the 2 aviation committees of the National Assembly demanding their intervention. The unions also called on President Muhammadu Buhari to decline assent to the controversial clauses they alleged were inserted after public hearings on the bills.
Then on Tuesday, Court of Appeal in Abuja reserved judgment on an appeal filed by leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, seeking to dismiss the terrorism and treasonable felony charge preferred by the federal government against him. A 3-member panel led by Justice JumaiHanatu, after listening to both parties, said it would communicate a date for the judgment to them.
The IPOB leader, who is currently facing trial before the Federal High Court in Abuja, had, through his team of lawyers led by Michael Zekome, senior advocate of Nigeria, approached the appellate court to challenge the legal competence of the charge pending against him. He specifically prayed the appellate court to review the April 8 ruling of the trial court which struck out only 8 out of the 15-count charge. He insisted that the charge entered against him has no basis in law and appealed for it to be discharged and acquitted. Mr. Kanu equally urged the appellate court to order his release on bail pending the determination of his appeal. Though the appeal was initially fixed for 11th October, following an application he filed for abridgment of time, the appellate court brought the matter forward for hearing. When the matter was called up, a 3-man panel led by Justice JumaiHanatu said it had no need to delve into the issue of bail since the substantive appeal was ripe for hearing. Arguing the appeal, Michael Zekome alleged that his client was forcefully abducted from Kenya and legally renditioned back to the country. He told the court that his client was first arraigned on December 23, 2015 and was later granted bail on April 25, 2017. Meanwhile, the federal government, through its lawyer David Kwesa, urged the court to dismiss the appeal for want of merit. He maintained that IPOB leader was brought back to the country by due process of the law. He argued that the charge has been amended 7 times owing to the conduct of the appellant.
Against him at all. He's being kept in detention by the same DSS who investigated him, the same DSS who arrested him, the same DSS is detaining him.
Are you saying our people don't have a right to complain? Are you saying that the government that we pay tax to is not supposed to address those grievances?
And as the court was delivering judgment on Nnamdi Kanu's case in Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari traveled to Imo State to inaugurate some projects as part of an event to mark one-day official visit to the state. The president arrived at Owerri Airport on Tuesday morning and was received by Governor Hope Uzodinma, among other officials. He later inaugurated the 37-kilometer Owerri-Olu Road, among other projects completed by the Governor Uzodinma-led administration, and promised continued support for Imo, as well as other states of the Federation, irrespective of their political affiliation.
Let me also briefly comment on what the government of Imo State has termed the road revolution going on in the state. But I prefer to call it an infrastructure revolution. On our part, the federal government will continue to support the government of Imo State to ensure that it continues to provide the dividends of democracy to the people.
Also on Tuesday, the Independent National Electoral Commission said it delisted 1.1 million newly registered voters from its database ahead of next year's general election. INEC National Chairman and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, spoke during the cleanup of the register of voters using the automated biometric identification system, where he said the commission detected several double, multiple, and ineligible registrations. Mr. Okoye said out of the 2.5 million fresh registrations done between 28th June 2021 and 14th January 2022, 1.1 million records were found to be invalid and consequently delisted. He also noted that INEC would display the voter register once the process of verification is concluded, adding that permanent voters card for all valid registrants are also expected to be available for collection by the end of October or early November. On Wednesday, the United Kingdom, thousands of people filed in the United Kingdom past Queen Elizabeth's coffin after it was brought in a procession to Westminster Hall, followed by the King and his sons. The queue from Westminster Hall extends south and crosses Lambeth Bridge before turning north and sneaking up the South Bank, and just after London Bridge. The Queen's coffin will on Monday be taken to Westminster Abbey for the funeral.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be.
Queen Elizabeth is now lying in state in Westminster Hall, where hundreds of thousands of people are expected to file past her coffin in the coming days. Earlier, This afternoon, the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II was transported from Buckingham Palace on a gun carriage in a slow-moving procession which lasted around 38 minutes. Following the procession, a short service led by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, and attended by senior politicians including Prime Minister Liz Truss and opposition leader Sir Keir Starmer.
O God, the Maker and Redeemer of all mankind, grant us, with thy servant Queen Elizabeth and all the faithful departed, the sure benefits of thy Son's saving passion and glorious resurrection.
Meanwhile, the queue along the south bank of the Thames stretched the entire way to London Bridge as people wait for their turn to pay their respects.
You know, for probably everybody here, the Queen has been around for as long as anybody can remember. You know, there's a certain constant to all of this.
You know, I think everybody is very honoured to be able to say their respects, pay their respects and say their goodbyes. And that's what the British people do best.
In public view in Westminster Hall, resting on a raised platform called a catafalque and draped in the royal standard with the orb and sceptre placed on top. The funeral will hold on Monday the 19th of September, a day which has already been declared a bank holiday.
Also on Wednesday, the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency stated that 2022 flood disaster may turn out to be the worst ever recorded in Nigeria. Mustafa Ahmed told journalists in Abuja that over 300 deaths have so far been recorded. He tasked state governments to ensure they have a response mechanism in communities within their states.
The flooding challenge in Nigeria is on the increase, with the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency confirming they receive about 500 disaster alerts daily. Before now, 2012 was the worst ever recorded flooding disaster. With poor records and reports, total loss in that disaster was estimated to be about $16.9 billion. Losses in 2022 disaster, now said to be worse than 2012, can only be imagined. This is particularly disheartening because flooding disaster, though an impact of climate change, could be mitigated. Before the start of the rainfall season, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency raised concerns that the expected volume of rainfall could be high. This stakeholders meeting is to further chart a course for disaster management through risk reduction.
They are not taking the reports we are sending to them very seriously. Immediately NIMET releases their report, we send the risk mapping to states, identifying risk areas that will be hit.
It is expected that with what they have gained here, they will take back to their various institutions and realign their activities to key into disaster risk reduction.
On Thursday came the news that the federal government had declared the National Task Force an illegal security outfit operating in Nigeria. And that was one of the decisions reached at the National Security Council meeting chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari in the council chambers of the presidential villa. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola advised NATFORCE to immediately disband itself and cease operations across the country.
The National Security Council has wielded a big stick against the National Task Force and declared it an illegal security outfit. This is the second time President Buhari's administration will be declaring this same security outfit illegal and ordering it to end its operations. This will likely stall the 2022 establishment bill for the National Commission against the Proliferation of Small Arms and Light Weapons, passed by the Senate in July. The presidency ordered the National Task Force to disband itself or risk forcibly being disbanded.
Equally of concern is the presence of some illegal outfits that impersonate the legitimate security agencies. Of particular concern is a body called National Task Force.
But in 2013, there was a court judgment against the disbandment of NATFORCE by the federal government. The National Security Council also appraised the security situation in the country and acknowledged an improvement in the performance of security agencies.
As ordered by the chairman of the council, the president, which we have said to all Nigerians before now, that will put essentially most of the challenges of banditry particularly.
This noticeable improvement in the overall security situation in the country confirms the declaration from the Minister of Information and Culture that the worst is over. The decline in insecurity could also be a result of President Buhari's orders to security chiefs to stop the attacks and killings by non-state actors across the country.
And Thursday was International Day of Democracy, also known as World Democracy Day. The day is observed every 15th of September to highlight the importance of community participation in the functioning of democracy. In commemoration of that event, the European Union launched a €39 million program to support democratic governance in Nigeria.
Nigeria's democracy has continued to receive support from the international community and organizations to ensure it remains strong. This is due to global consensus that it is crucial to ensuring the sustainability of democracy in West Africa and the continent at large. No doubt, democracy could help deliver a more prosperous and resilient country where the needs of the people are addressed if adequately managed and harnessed. The EU says this is its reason for the continued support. This event is the close of the Phase 1 of the EU SDGN and the launch of the Phase 2.
Everyone has to do its part. INEC, but also political actors, civil society groups, media, citizens and voters.
The Commission received various support, mainly in areas of training and capacity building for our staff, engagement with stakeholders.
These key institutions or elements must complement one another. So where the Electoral Commission has legal challenges in terms of the framework, you would require the National Assembly to legislate in a manner.
The Electoral Act mandates the media, especially government-owned media, to give what it calls, equal opportunity for all the political parties to talk about their programs.
The EU ambassador says so far, the regional body has provided technical support to key electoral institutions to the tune of over €150 million since 1999 to date.
And on Friday, the federal government, through the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, appealed to authorities in various states to brace up for more floods. Director General of NEHASA, Clement Nze, who gave the alert in a statement, asked the states to take necessary measures to prevent the ugly flooding menace of the past years, as Nigeria is now in the peak of flooding season. Mr. Nze stated that almost all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory have experienced one form of flooding or another, and regretted the situation in Jigawa State where over 72 people were killed. That same day, the National Industrial Court adjourned to 19th of September the suit filed by the federal government challenging the ongoing industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Justice Polycarp Hammond made the adjournment after counsel to ASUU informed the court that he was served an interlocutory application by the federal government. At the resumed sitting, counsel to the federal government, James Igwe, asked the court to give the suit an accelerated hearing due to the urgency of the matter to enable students to return to school, stating that since the matter is already before the court, it will be proper for the strike to be called off, pending the determination of the suit. But counsel to ASUU, Femi Falana, argued that the matter was adjourned for further mention and not for hearing. He also noted that ASUU is currently meeting with stakeholders to ensure the lingering crisis, which is now about 7 months old, is resolved.
The Minister of Labour and Employment has done to make this referral is in the best interest. I'm certainly sure he probably would have gone to court earlier, but he wanted to ensure there is conciliation. He wanted to ensure that there's an amicable resolution.
In the past, because the government has betrayed ASUU in the past, So it has become very difficult, not just as for trade unions to call off strike.
We are academics, we are university lecturers under the umbrella of the Congress of University Academics, as I mentioned. So anything pertaining, any issue, any matter pertaining to university, teaching, lecturing, industrial action is of utmost importance to us, because